Hi authors, my name is Jennifer Carr and I'm here to help you write more realistically through psychology. As both a marriage and family counselor, as well as a former high school AP psychology teacher, I have the insider information that can help you write better stories and more relatable characters. One of the most misused and misunderstood set of terms is introvert and extrovert. What's the first thing that pops into your head when I say, I'm an introvert? It's possible you think that I'm shy, anxious, I avoid people, and I'm a wallflower in social situations. If I told you I was an extrovert, maybe you'd think I was the life of the party and always had something to say. While those may be true in some cases, the personality traits of introversion and extraversion are far more interesting and complex. Carl Jung was one of the first to coin the terms introvert and extrovert. He theorized that a person's energy could be channeled externally toward the outside world or internally toward the self. According to Jung, all of us have the capacity for both attitudes, but only one becomes dominant in our personality. The dominant attitude then tends to direct our behavior and consciousness. The non-dominant attitude still remains influential, however, and becomes part of the personal unconscious, where it can affect behavior. Let's consider writing our characters as introverts or extroverts. If you've watched more than a couple of my writing tip videos, you can probably guess what I'm about to tell you. If not, memorize this phrase. Before you write, get to know your characters. Get to know them so intimately that they are practically real people. Put it all on paper. Profile them, give them identities and personalities in that profile, include how they interact with their environment. Ask questions like, how did they prefer to spend a night out? Or do they prefer to stay home? If forced to choose between a weekend with zero social plans and a weekend packed with social plans, which one would they choose? Do they prefer to listen or debate? How do they feel after a social activity? Are they impulsive or do they tend to think things through? How do they handle conflict? Immediately or after a period of reflection? What do their relationships look like? Are they fewer but deeper, or are there many with fewer deep connections? There are so many more questions you could ask, but these are just a few. So how do you use the answers to these questions? I'm glad you asked. Introverts are well suited to many situations. A tendency to be reserved helps these personality types to pace themselves. They're likely to listen to others more carefully. Introverts tend to develop fewer but very deep connections with people. Very introspective, introverts enjoy more focused alone time, leading to more and deeper insights. And while sometimes they can be a little sensitive to their environments, this often helps them pick up cues more quickly, making them great at reading many situations. They tend to avoid conflict, and they're thoughtfully creative in most cases. Extroverts are interested in engaging with their environment, and they feed off the responses of the people and events around them. They make friends easily, and engaging in small talk is the light to the fuse for them. They enjoy pushing limits and see what the world can do. This all depends on many other factors and life's natural limitations, but extroverted personality types lean toward taking the initiative and relying on the world around them for validation. They can also be a little impulsive. Now, there are different levels of each of these categories, so maybe consider introversion and extroversion to be more of a spectrum. Introverts can be outgoing, but the socializing will drain them mentally and emotionally. Extroverts can be introspective and deep, but it may require a different kind of energy that leaves them tired or overwhelmed. Our friend Carl Jung broke it down into 4 different types of each trait: thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuiting. Here's a brief rundown of each one. So extroverted thinking, they are logical, objective, dogmatic. They live by society's rules and they tend to repress feelings and emotions. Whereas introverted thinking people are more interested in ideas than they are in people. They have difficulty communicating their ideas. They're seen as stubborn, aloof, arrogant, and inconsiderate. Extroverted feeling types are highly emotional. They're sensitive, sociable. They stick to traditional values and moral codes. It's more typical of women than men, but not solely relegated to women. Where the introverted feeling type, they're reserved, capable of deep emotion, but they avoid outward expression of it. They tend to be quiet, modest, immature, and sometimes they're seen as withdrawn, cold, and self-assured. Extroverted sensing types, they are outgoing, they're pleasure-seeking and adaptable. Where introverted sensing types, they're outwardly detached, passive, and calm. They express themselves in art or music, and they tend to repress their intuition. Extroverted intuiting, they are engaging and able to motivate others and seize opportunities. They're attracted to new ideas. They tend to be creative. These types are usually successful in business or politics, where introverted intuiting types, they tend to have very little contact with reality. They're visionaries and dreamers, and sometimes they're a little aloof, unconcerned with practical matters, and poorly understood by others. They're considered odd and eccentric, and they have difficulty coping with everyday life and planning for the future. I mentioned this in a previous video about creating personalities for your characters. You can take personality tests online and answer as your character would to give you a baseline for your character's identity. I like the Myers-Briggs inventory that you can take for free at 16personalities.com. It's relatively lengthy, but it's thorough, and the results are detailed and can really help spark your creativity as you develop your characters. It's also kind of fun to take for yourself. If you want to dive deeper into topics like this one, let me know and I'll be glad to make it happen. Just leave your comments and suggestions down below and be sure to follow for more.